Hey guys, it's the 6th of March and I've already finished one of my books. So I'm very excited. I mean, it was quite small, but I am kind of on track. I'm just like 30 pages behind, I think, to be able to finish the books without stressing like last month. So anyways, World of Wonders by Amy, Biscuits. Nezukumatatil? We'll just go with Amy, I guess, from now on. So I finally read World of Wonders. Everyone has been hyping about this book, talking about this book, saying how great it is, etc., etc. And I think that did it a disservice in my reading of it. I liked this. I thought the writing was she mentions at some point that she is a poet, and it definitely can sense that. Her writing is really flowery and like pretty, you know what I'm saying? Which is not 100% my style, but that's okay. I don't even really know. I mean, it's personal essays, and each personal essay is kind of like around a different thing in nature. So like, a butterfly, different birds, different like a squid or octopus or whatever. So a flamingo. So she talks about the natural creature or natural thing, and I say thing because monsoon is one of them, and then kind of like relates it to her life. And I just didn't like buy it 100%. I feel really bad. I'm kind of I think I am just a cranky person. I gave this 3 stars. I just feel like she was kind of reaching a little bit. So it feels to me like maybe 1 or 2, or maybe even like a handful of these were written really organically. Like Monsoon specifically, I think was really beautiful, and just felt really good when I was reading it. There's a couple more that I can't quite remember off the top of my head, like the whalefish, I think, maybe. I don't know. Monsoon for sure is like, the peacock one. Like those felt like really, really natural essays that relate to something in nature, and like I can see it, I can understand why she chose to write it, and like, I think they make sense. But some of them felt like she was just trying really, really hard to relate an animal to her life. Like there's the one about the flamingo. So like the flamingos have like really long legs and stuff, and she's talking about how her legs were super long, and then like kind of related it to like sexual violence is not the right word, but violence against women, and just in general. And it felt like a bit of a reach to me, unfortunately. And there's a lot of like the endings of chapters. A lot of them were kind of like the like live, love, laugh, or laugh, love, live, those kinds of things, where it like trying to leave you on like some kind of uplifting thing, which is fine for a lot of people, but just not like 100% for me. I will say that I got a really, really good sense of her life, and I really appreciated all the things that she shared about herself. I would have personally preferred a book of just personal essays just about her life, and then separately an essay collection about different like natural wonders. Like I would have much preferred that personally. I did give it 3 stars. I did like it. But it just, I don't know. I'm wondering if like all the hype around the book really negatively impacted me, or if I would have felt this way regardless. And yeah, I don't regret reading it, and I think it's really beautiful. The illustrations, oh my gosh. The illustrations, let me find a really good one. She is really great at drawing. Like here's this ribbon eel. Yeah, and she like talks about the ribbon eel and how it like reminds her of her tongue or something. And there's the very ending of it's just very live, laugh, lovey. The last chapter though, the Fireflies Redux, I think is what it's called, made me realize that I need to go outside more. I need to spend some time outside. So I did appreciate that a lot. It made me realize that I definitely take nature for granted. And I live in the Pacific Northwest, where there is like so much beautiful nature and so much stuff happening. I just spend all of my time indoors, and I wish I could say that it was because of the pandemic, but I was like this before. And so I think that she has inspired me to go outside. But yeah, this just wasn't quite my cup of tea. So hopefully the next one I will enjoy a little bit more. And again, I didn't dislike it. It just felt like she was trying a bit too hard to make these things kind of relate to each other, you know? So I finished Notes on a Silencing a little bit ago, and I just completely forgot to do a little review of it. So this is a memoir by Lacey Crawford talking about her time at the St. Paul's School. I think it's just called St. Paul's. At least that's what she refers to it during, but oh gosh, and I think it's in New Hampshire. I already don't remember. It's somewhere in New England, you know, in that fancy area where me as a West Coast girl, I never got to go, but I always idolized because I watched like Gilmore Girls and stuff. So it takes place in like that kind of a place, like a boarding school for really rich, you know, kids that have the whole world ahead of them, like Gossip Girly vibes, Gilmore Girly vibes, like that kind of a place where you just are expected to excel and you're expected to have a, you know, have a good time, maybe is not the right word, but you know, it's teenagers away from their parents in like dorm style rooms that don't lock, like they can't lock the doors because it's a quote fire hazard. You know how they dealt with that when I was on college campus, when I was in college oh man, I just woke up. On campus housing, like in apartment style houses, how they fix that is with those types of locks that when you are opening the handle from the inside, it automatically unlocks and you can open the door, but technically it is locked. So no one can come from outside in because the door is locked, but if you're trying to get out fast, you don't have to unlock the door. That's how people deal with that crap. But I guess I was in college in the aughts and she was at this school, I think in the 90s or 80s. I'm not 100%. I forget what the time. I think it's the early 90s. I think it's like 90, just 90, straight 90, no? Oh boy, here we go. Yeah, 1990 fifth form. So the year that all of this is like happening is 1990. Anyways, I guess that's like just a really like dumb kind of quibble for me to have, but it's frustrating to me that they're willing to like put young women at risk of having like sexual violence done to them because of a quote fire hazard, which is like so much rarer in like a much rarer event having there be a fire than, you know, young boys being, you know, inappropriate. So she talks about her time on the campus, and I do think at first I was having a lot of trouble separating this from Know My Name by Chanel Miller, because Know My Name was just like one of the best books that I've ever read in my entire life. And so I was comparing this to it basically from the start, and I feel kind of bad about that, but you go into every book that you go into as the reader that you are. So like every time you pick up a new book, you're a new reader because you have that experience in your, you know, brain, and also just, you know, you've experienced more life. So it's really hard. You're never the same reader ever. And I do feel kind of bad about that, and I was not really enjoying it at first. I don't know. I can't like put my finger on what about this book was not working for me. And then there's a chapter where I think she's still in fourth form or she's in fifth form, but it's before she's been raped. And she is just like way, like, what's the word? Romanticizing life at St. Paul's. So she is like really making me wish that I got to go to like an elite boarding school on the East Coast somewhere. I mean, I already wanted that anyways, because again, I watched Gilmore Girls like a lot when I was growing up. So that's always like something that I feel like I missed out on because I just like went to public schools on the West Coast and like everything was like plain and normal for me, which, you know, obviously is fine, but that's always just something that I kind of like, I had like nostalgia for something that I never experienced, and she was really, really giving it to me, and I was like, aren't you supposed to make me like not want to do this? But after continuing, I guess I kind of see why she was doing that. because that's who she was. Like, that's how she felt during that time. Again, it's before she was raped. And even after she was raped, she like wanted to stay at the school. She wanted to finish. You know, she comes from like a family that is like really, maybe not really prideful, but like they want to excel, they want to do the best. Like she has to do the best. Like she has all of this pressure on her from her parents and from whomever to do well, to perform well, and giving up is not really an option. And I feel like, you know, that pressure on her, like with all of her sports, she does tennis, she does hockey, she does this, she does that. And so there's just like so much on her. And I feel like, I mean, I will say that I don't think that I cried in this book until like the very, 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 very end of the book. And I don't exactly remember what made me cry, but like I did not get emotional one little bit. I got a little, what's the word? Infuriated, maybe, during the portion where she's told, so should I even tell you? I mean, you guys know what this book is about, right? She gets raped at the school and then she doesn't tell anyone right away because basically the boys like tricked her into coming to their room, and so she was worried that like it would be her fault kind of, and so like they're saying like you're the one out of like your room, so you're gonna be in trouble. So she basically, that helped shut her the fuck up, excuse my language, but I'm just, these subject matters really make me very, very, very mad. And it also makes me really mad when people like don't act like the way that I would. Like I wish that she had stood up for herself like way earlier. I mean, like, you know, there's nothing that you can, it's really frustrating. It's so hard. It's so hard. Okay. Anyways, so this happens to her, and then, she doesn't really tell anyone. And then because this happens to her, she basically goes into this horrible, horrible depression where she just like doesn't care what happens to her body. And it is so sad because she's letting these boys, and I really hate that phrase, letting these boys do things to her, because, you know, she is like 15, 16, and like a lot of them are over 18. Like, so letting, again, she is being passive about it, but these boys are choosing to do what they're doing to her. Like it is not her, or it is not her choice, but she, you know, she doesn't care. Like it was really hard to read those portions because you're just like, this poor girl like has gone through this horrible, horrible thing, and like you can just feel the spark has kind of left her, and it's really, really sad to read those portions. But I still didn't cry, and I kind of feel like it's because of the way that she was writing. Like it was very disjointed and emotionally distant, and I kind of think that's because she was disjointed and emotionally distant during this whole period. So I don't know, it's just weird for me to read something that's so upsetting and not like really cry that much. And I do think it's because of her writing and the way that she's telling the story, specifically. I keep most of, I think, that other video, but I feel like I was spoiling a little bit too much. But, you know, basically it's the story of her being raped and then finally telling someone about it, and then after other abuses have happened to her, and then being basically shut down by the school and like the repercussions of that. And like it wasn't I mean, like this happened in the early 90s and now it's 2020. Towards the end of the book, there's like there's chapters on how these DAs are trying to investigate the school. And so then I think that's kind of like what, like if that hadn't happened, if those DAs, and if she didn't get to speak with those detectives about it, I don't think that she would have even written this book. I think she would have just like kept that closed up in the back of her mind for the rest of her life. So I am really grateful that she was able to like tell her story, because it ended up, I gave it a 4 stars. It ended up really, really like, I don't know what about it made me change my mind, but I think that she just like conveyed exactly how she was feeling while she was experiencing this. And so I feel like because of that, it just made it, I don't know, again, not a particularly emotional book. She's just like trying to tell you like what happened and why she acted the way that she did, and like, you know, and it's, yeah. So I would recommend this. I think it's really good. I will say that like personally, I relate to Know My Name a lot more than I relate to this one. Like, I mean, like, emotions and stuff. Like, this one, I don't know. I guess, and again, I don't know what I would do if I was 15 or 16, but, like, it's so hard now, like, you know, as a 33-year-old to, if a man tried to lay his hands on me without me giving him permission, I would ruin him, basically. So, it's really hard, but, like, I know she was so young, and it's hard for me to think when I was 15 or 16, like, you know, I don't know. I guess I probably would have done the exact same thing, because you don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to upset your parents. Oh gosh, that's the one thing I will say. When she's, I think that her parents acted really inappropriately. I feel really bad, because I don't know. I feel really bad is not the right word. I just think that her parents acted so inappropriately. There's a section that she talks about early on in the book where they have a family friend, this guy who is staying with them, and she and him basically have an encounter in the middle of the night. So this is like a grown adult, like her parents' friend, and she's 15 or maybe even 14. I don't really know. And he like blocks her way so that she can't go, and is like, I'll move if you give me a kiss, basically, kind of a thing. And I don't remember like if that ended up happening or if she was able to get away or like what, but she told her parents, and they were like, well, we don't really need to say anything because, you know, nothing really happened, and you know, this guy's like a really important person, and like all of that stuff. And I feel like that specific encounter kind of shaped the way that she reacted with these other people that assaulted her or raped her. And yeah, so that really, really hurt to me as a child of a mother. Like, if my mom, she would, there's no way, like, you know, no. So I just feel like, her parents really let her down in that moment, and taught her value kind of in not a good way, if you know what I'm saying. So I feel like this is going to be really shaky because I'm leaning it on my leg. But so yeah, that to me was the most hurtful part of the whole book. And then afterwards, when they found out that she has had sex, and they're like, well, like, this is not what we wanted for you, or something like that. And it's just like, that to me hurt the most out of anything else in this book, personally. I just can't imagine my mother ever reacting that way. She would, no. Mm-mm. And no. So yeah, I found that distressful. In general, the book was really good. I do feel like because of Booktube Prize, I've been reading a lot of books about violence towards women, and I'm just ready to read something that's not like that. I think the rest of my books are not, though. I think I should be pretty good, at least for this round. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Hey guys, so I have these three still to talk about, and Black Spartacus, which maybe I'll talk about first because I don't have a physical copy of it. Gosh, so disappointing. So I am really, really mad at myself because if I had done a little bit more research, I would have been able to get a copy of this, I think, from Blackwell's, and I would have been able to read the physical copy. I tried reading the ebook version of it, but apparently I can't even read ebooks. So I was just like, whatever, I'll just listen to it. Because if it's going to be difficult to get in, I might as well be able to, you know, listen to it while I'm doing things, since I wait until the last minute. So I will say that this book, I think, suffered is maybe not the right word, but I'm never going to enjoy a book as much when I listen to it on audio as I would if I was reading it physically. I think I ended up giving this book a 3.5, and I rounded down to 3 on Goodreads, but I think I would have rounded up to 4 if I had read the physical book. It was super, super interesting, like very, very interesting, But it also has that problem where it talks about a lot of people and a lot of places and a lot of battles and a lot of things that I just like don't know enough about. So it kind of reminded me of like the first section of The Heartbeat at Wounded Knee. I think that's what it's called, which I read last year for Booktube Prize, where you just kind of, you know, I mean, it's a history book about a human that existed. And so I don't know. I feel like it would do for a revisit for sure, and like maybe like learning a little bit more. Like I don't even know much about Napoleon, so my knowledge is very little, which is embarrassing because hello, please, my mom is Dominican, so you know I should I should know a bit more about all of that, because that's my island that, you know, I mean, you know, we share the island with them, but like it is an island that exists, and so I would like to know more about all of it. So yeah, it's kind of hard. I do think it was extremely well researched, extremely well written. That author, I would 100% read more books by that author. But unfortunately, because of the fact that I listened to it on audio and the fact that it like was just so much information, I did not retain all of it. So that's unfortunate. I do still theoretically have this book coming to me in hardcover at some point, according to my local bookstore. And I will 100% reread this in the future, but I do think that I want to do like more research independently kind of before I read it again. So yeah, I think that was the last one that I finished. I don't really remember. Okay, so then Chef's Kiss. This book was so good. Okay, so this is After the Last Board. I'm gonna cry just thinking about it. This might be my favorite book of the group. I don't even remember because I was so like bonkers at the end of this. I don't remember how I rated these. So this is After the Last Border by Jessica Gaudu. Two families and the story of refuge in America. And this is following two women, Hasna and Manu. Muna, I think. Muna is from Myanmar, and then Hasna from Syria, and it just follows their journeys through the refugee like system, and oh my god, it is so good. So we kind of like alternate back and forth between these two women's stories. Hasna, we're meeting like in Syria. She's got her life. Everything is great. You know, she's got her kids. They're growing up. Everything is looking super great. So we're also following these two women like at different ports, different parts of their like refugee status. So, you know, she's got her house. Everything is great. And then things start to slowly get worse and worse and worse and worse. And then eventually she has to leave. Hopefully I'm not spoiling anything for you. I mean, it's just, you know, that's just like what happens in people's lives when they are refugees, is that things happen that push them to have to flee. And then our, oh my gosh, why can't I remember her name? Munao. We start off her journey in the United States. So she is a refugee from Myanmar. She's Christian. And, you know, Myanmar, if you don't know, has lots of problems. And God, yeah, I was like reading this now after like everything that's happened now more recently. It's also just like so infuriating. So we follow her as she's arrived in Texas, in Austin, and her journey like being in the United States as a refugee. And these two women, they do so much for their families. They are so strong. It's just like so powerful. Like this book was so good. It just was so good. Just like, I mean, besides the fact of like what they're going through in their day-to-day lives, like you see, you know, the troubles they have with their marriages, how they kind of like work through things, just like the relationships that they have with, you know, with various people, and how they keep it together and how they keep moving forward and how they don't let their status It's just so good. I would obviously really recommend this book. I gave it 5 stars. I'm gonna stop talking about it. Oh, I do just want to mention one more thing. It is within the book is interspersed information about the U.S. refugee system, and you know, starting off with how we sent back a ship full of Jewish people during, you know, World War II, and most of them died in concentration camps because we, you know, didn't want to let them into our country, and how things have gotten, how things like got better kind of, and then now they're like not great at all. We do not take in nearly enough refugees for the amount of damage that we do, like, you know, our government, the amount of damage that our government does worldwide. We do not nearly take in enough refugees. Like, it's obscene how little we care about fellow humans. Don't get me started, please, because I will go off. Yeah, this was so good. I would really recommend that book a lot. This one is one of the ones that I read while I was really sleepy, so let me just think. Also really, really good, and I also gave this 5 stars. This book was incredible, but I was working on very little sleep most of the time that I was reading it, so let me just flip through. Wow, how disappointing of me. Okay, sorry. My storage was full, so I had to delete a bunch of stuff. That's what I get. So yes, Cast, The Origins of Our Discontents by Isabel Wilkerson. I have not read The Warmth of Other Suns, and I really, really want to, especially after reading this. This woman is one of those people that, again, is just like so brilliant. I just really can't. I can't. And again, I am so upset because I was just so out of it because I was like in and out of sleep when I was reading this. So it's hard for me to kind of recall things. I did annotate and underline a crap load of things. Some bad words I wrote because there's a lot of descriptions of horrible things that we have done to humans in this book. And that was like really painful to read. And I know it's like necessary for like her point, and it's, you know, whatever, but it is really hard for me to read those kinds of things, as I'm sure it's hard for most people to read those things. So that was a little upsetting, those portions, but in general, I think that she, you know, she made some great points. There's a section, I am remembering a little bit the more I talk about it. The book is broken up into sections, and in one of the sections she talks about like the different, the 8 pillars of caste, you know, oh gosh, yeah. And now I do remember that she talks a lot about, you know, there's the 3 caste systems: India, us, and Nazi Germany. And I mean, I feel like it's common knowledge that the Nazis started doing a lot of things based on what we were doing. And so she, you know, she talks about that, and she even mentions that like they wouldn't even go so far as to do some of the things that we were doing because they thought it was like too horrible. And these are people that like mass murdered lots and lots of people. So it's really interesting, and I just think that she is brilliant, and I would love to see her speak somewhere. I am also going to 100% reread this book. This was so good. Not anytime soon, because I got enough of it to not, it's not like Black Spartacus, where in Black Spartacus you're like learning lots of facts about a thing. This is just like it's like more conceptual knowledge, I guess, so it's easier for it to go into my brain. Even though I was really out of it, I also gave this 5 out of 5 stars. Super good. So now let's talk about Meltdown by Carrie Arsenault. Hopefully I wasn't like super obvious that I was not getting on with this book, because I just couldn't read it. It was really upsetting. It was really upsetting. It's kind of, okay, let's rewind. Okay, I thought this book was about a poor town that, like, you know, because of, you know, people not wanting certain kind of services anymore, whatever, like their industry kind of died down, and then this town is now poor. So that's what I thought the book was about going into it, because I didn't know what the book was about. And that is not what the book is about. But what is the book about? Great question. I don't know. This woman went off on way too many tangents. So I originally thought it was going to be a book about how the paper mill industry is like polluting water, and like how all these people have cancer that like live in this town, and you know, whatever. And I was interested and invested in that. And then it just, I can't even tell you. And not because I was out of it while I was reading it, but because this woman she literally tries to put like 7 different books into one book. And I just don't care about anything that she has to say. First of all, I was just flipping through and I noticed there's a bunch of pictures in the book, and the pictures have nothing to do with what she's talking about. There's just randomly pictures throughout the book that have no caption, no inkling of why they're in the book. So I don't know what this is about. Why are you putting a picture in here? She likes to take pictures. She's a photographer. That's why I assume the pictures are in there, because she took the pictures and she likes them. So she threw them in there. But like, I need a little bit of context. What does it have to do with the words that I'm reading on the page? So that's the first thing that started to bother me. Then she talks a lot about her ancestors and how they experienced racism and prejudice, and how they were kicked out of like their lands, and how, you know, the effects of this, like, you know, can like linger on, and like the genes and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, your ancestors were French. They were colonizers. Like, am I missing something here? Are you really comparing yourself to indigenous people? I feel really, really bad with how horrible I'm being. I'm sure she is a really kind person, and I'm sure what she's saying isn't untrue. Like, I'm sure they were displaced by the British or whatever, and like, I'm sure they did experience hardships. I'm sure that's true, but there's like a white savioriness about this book that just really grates on me. There's one part when she's talking about, because like her people, the Arcadians, I think that's what they're called, and like the indigenous group that lived there, they, you know, they both lived there in harmony or whatever. And then the British, like Protestants or whatever, because, you know, they were also discriminated because of their religion, I think. I literally don't remember, because I was like seeing red. She talks about how her people were basically given the choice to like leave or leave. So they had to leave. And then once they left, the British took advantage of the indigenous people and like made them sign over their lands and stuff. So basically her people were protecting the indigenous people and like helped them not, you know, whatever. And then once they left, they weren't there to protect them anymore. That's just like the vibe that I got from this book. It might not have been what her intention was, but that is the vibe. She talks about West Bank and Gaza in here. And it's like, now's not the time. I know you didn't read this. I mean, now has never been the time, okay? There's always been issues in Palestine and Israel, whatever, and the West Bank and Gaza. Like, there has been issues for so long, and like, it's such an intense thing. I just think that referencing them fleetingly in one sentence and talking about how that's like relatable to your parentage, it's just like in poor taste, in my opinion. I don't understand. I don't get it. I really I'm upset by this book, and I just don't understand. I feel so much of the book was her talking about how wonderful she is and how great she is, and how, you know, she did this and that and whatever, and like, you know, she's, you know, going skiing, and she gets on the ski lift with some boy who's like, oh, I'm autistic. And it's just like, okay, I don't care. What does that have to do with anything that you're talking about? I think what she should have written, and what she wants to write, is an essay collection where she takes a photo and writes some kind of essay relating to the photo. Okay. I think that's the book that she should write, because this felt like it was trying to be a cohesive book, and like trying to have some kind of threading go within it. And then it just did not work for me at all. And again, I am really sorry, Carrie, because I'm sure you tried hard, but like, you needed someone to tell you that this was not a great idea. I you know, I gave this a 1.5 stars. Let me, this is me writing in anger. What did I even write? I apologize for this outburst. It was inappropriate. Oh, wait, what did I write? Oh, geographical trauma. And then I put, really? These are the only people experiencing geographical trauma, your French ancestors who were settlers and colonizers. And then I apologize for my outburst because I wasn't there, so I don't know. It just felt like she was trying really hard to portray her ancestors in a very specific light. And, you know, again, I don't know if they were great. I don't know if they were bad, but I know that I don't trust her to tell me. So anyways, I will stop talking about it. I did round up to a 2 because I do think that it had a lot of good information about like the paper mill industry and how terrible it is. And she is really like, what is the word? She like is like, oh, you know, including this publisher that like is publishing my book and blah, blah, blah. So I did enjoy that part of like her, you know, kind of like looking inward, but a lot of this book just felt like she was patting herself on the back the whole time. And I just don't care for that, you know? Okay. Oof, I'm so sorry. I hope she never sees this video. Oh God. Maybe I should start being nicer about books that I don't like. Okay, so that is it. I will say, so my ranking was obviously Milltown number 6, World of Wonders number 5, too cutesy for me. Between 4 and 3, I wasn't sure. Oh, that feels so weird. Between 4 and 3, I was like torn between Notes on a Silencing and Black Spartacus. I ranked Notes on a Silencing 4th and Black Spartacus 3rd, just because I was like, you know, what do I really want people to read? And I think that Black Spartacus is like a not more interesting, but and I have to rewatch my footage that I filmed of Notes on a Silencing because I don't even remember what I said in it. Hopefully I wasn't mean about that either. I did give it 4 stars, but a lot of it didn't sit well with me either. So Black Spartacus, I just think is like something that is really important that no one really knows about or talks about. So I just think it would be nice for more people to read his, you know, biography. And then I honestly don't remember which of these I placed first. I have literally no idea. I'm going to guess based on my emotional reaction that I placed this first, but they're both, in my opinion, equals. And I just, yeah, I think, yeah, they're both really, really good. So yeah, that's it. Oof, gosh, on to the next round. Oh, and I'm going to post my clip of like my reaction to the like winners. But I will say I just watched a second ago and I look not well. I look unhealthy. And it's again because I was like cramming books down my throat. And I think I mentioned in it too that I had my book club book that I had to read in one day also, which I'm really sad about because I don't really remember much about it. So anyways, I'm gonna go. Thanks for watching. If you were in my round, let me know. If you read Milltown and totally disagree with me, please tell me because I need someone to express to me if they like this book or why they like this book because I'll talk to you guys later. Hey guys, I am so exhausted right now. It's 7 o'clock, so I'm gonna find out who made it. I haven't filmed reviews. I'm missing reviews for 4 of the books, so I just like haven't had time because I, you know, kind of did last minute and then I had to read my book club book in one day also. So I'm gonna watch this and then I'll film my reviews later today when I'm not like this, and then hopefully I'll have my video up later today, but we'll see. But I'm so excited. I really hope if Milltown makes it, this whole thing is rigged. It's rigged. I'm so happy. Milltown didn't make it through. My top 3 didn't make it, but my 1, 2, and 4 made it, and it was really hard for me to pick between 3 and 4, so I'm very pleased that, you know, everyone else in my group had their stuff together. Okay, I'm gonna finish watching this. I'm excited to see which of like my fiction books, because my 3 favorites made it through. I missed. I just went through. I'll rewatch that little bit.